So I'm pumped up. I have been doing the pumpitude.
No doubt. Hey, we're here in a studio chat with Dan Guerrie. Guerrie? Guerrie. Studio chat with Dan Guerrie here for the SolarBlade Network. We're just going to chat a little bit about audio engineering, recording, and stuff like that. Question I've got is I've seen a lot of bass players going through guitarist foot switches nowadays. Is that a bad thing?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I know a lot of guys that do that. It's whatever it takes to get the sound.
Yeah, I was doing some tracks the other day, and I had the bass plugged into a guitar switch, and I was trying to get the SansAmp sound, so I was just using distortion off of the regular guitar pedal. But I've always heard that if you run a bass frequency through guitar pedals, it messes something up. I don't know.
I mean, the bass has a lot of low frequency energy, and it'll kind of flab out the low end of most distortion boxes.
So the companies making foot switches, they make guitar switches and then bass switches, but they're interchangeable. They just try to make more money.
Well, it's not necessarily more money. It's just they do something optimized for bass. Definitely sounds better on the bass than if you're trying to run distortion from a guitar.
Yeah.
But I use the Pod Pro on basses all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll set it up on 410 Bassman and simulation and run the bass right through it.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, when we did the guitar tracks on some of our stuff, you used the Pod.
Yeah, we used a little bit of Pod. We used a Marshall preamp.
Yeah.
We ran out to some amps. We used mics.
Yeah.
It's just...
I've got one of those old Marshall rack mount preamps and the little power pack. I've got some black electrical tape wrapped around the two little tricks there in the power pack, and it sounds better than 90% of the other stuff that I've got. So when you first load in tracks, what's your primary goal? What do you do?
Well, the first thing I'll do, like whenever I take a track to mix, the very first thing I'll do is I'll get all the tracks loaded in regardless of what they are. Then I'll actually just sit, throw all the faders up, and listen to all of the tracks before I do anything.
Everything at the same time? Everything
at the same time. I listen to everything that's in the track, because a lot of times I'm trying to play guess what the producer had in mind or guess what the artist had in mind.
Yeah.
So for me, if I can listen to it half a dozen to a dozen times before I start making decisions about, do I need to retrigger this snare drum? Is that bass too flabby? Is this too flabby? I have a feel for what the artist or the producer intended. Then I can start,
Now, is that the same for all genres? Country,
absolutely.
Rock, hip hop, orchestral?
Absolutely,
anything.
yeah. Because you want to get to the bottom of what the artist or the producer intended before you begin to mix.
Do you think it's better for an engineer to pretty much just stick with, okay, I'm a country engineer or I'm a rock engineer, or is it better to have somebody broad spectrum that would be more?
Well, I mean, to get really good at something, you have to, eventually specialize.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a good mixer will be able to pull off a lot of different mixes from different genres. But, most of the guys, we'll all specialize them in a couple of things that we're really, really, really good at.
Yeah.
And, and there are other things, like, I've done quite a few hip-hop and rap mixes, although, my main forte is country and rock.
Yeah.
But what I do is I always, make sure that artist sends me, I said, look, bundle up your favorite CDs you like to listen to from other artists as well as your stuff, and send that all to me along with the DVDs.
But, like Mutt Lange, he started out like the Scorpions and all these hard rock bands, and then he took that recipe over to Shania Twain with country and did the same kind of blend, the same kind of mix with that heavy bottom end.
Yeah, Dan Huff was another one that came from L.A. A lot of those L.A. guys, they bailed out to Nashville and did pretty well.
Yeah. Now, I've done some recording tracks, country tracks before, and sent it to an engineer, and he was a heavy metal engineer, and I got the country tracks back, and I'm like, what in the world is this? This sounds like, some kind of super hardcore heavy country.
Well, I mean, you can't get into a rut when you mix.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to be sensitive, and that's why, I say, like, I'll throw up all 24, 32 faders worth of tracks and listen to the song, and then also kind of go through my mind, and if I have to, pop over to my laptop with iTunes where I've got 20 gigabytes of songs for reference, and reference to other things that are in that genre.
Yeah.
And, plus find out what's on the charts today. You really got to do your homework when you mix something down. You can't just say, well, I always make this bass drum tick like Lars you know,
Yeah.
from Metallica's bass drum. So, this guy just sent me a new country track or a traditional country track. We got a bass drum that's going tick, 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 tick.
Yeah. Do you listen to a lot of the contemporary commercial hits that are out now, or are you kind of stuck into a flavor? A lot of engineers, they're stuck into like 1980 to 85 or 85 to 90. And
you gotta keep your ears open. You know, what I mean, I dedicate a certain amount of time a week to just. I know when Fuse has their top 10 hits on. I know when VH1 has their top 10 video countdown. You know, then plus I take satellite radio. So, you know, I mean, you kind of have to just spend a certain amount of time with the remote in your hand, sitting in front of the stereo, just listening to various things. And, I mean, I just recently got done analyzing the whole Hannah Montana 2 thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, it just helps to know what other people are doing out there. You know, because sounds to some extent are kind of static. I mean, a good snare drum sound or a good guitar sound is always a good guitar, a good snare drum sound. But there are kind of trends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you listen to it, there's some trendy things. Because like in the 80s, the snare drums were always huge. They had this gigantic bah to them. Whereas now they're a little drier and pingier.
Up closer to
you. You know, they're more kind of ringy and ping, ping, ping. So you want to be, you know, cognizant of what's going on around you, because you don't want to hand somebody a mix that sounds like 1980 or you got yourself out of, you know, kind of out of the running.